we could start by introducing yourself. Maybe ÇAÐLAYAN, if you could start and say a bit about your business.
Absolutely. Hi, this is ÇAÐLAYAN ÇETIN. I'm the president of Trendyol Group. Should we first also talk about our companies, or just personally?
Just a little bit about.
Okay. Well, first of all, very nice to be here. Thank you for the organizers for this conference. As you know, Trendyol is actually one of the new entrants to the Middle East market as an e-commerce company. Since our topic also is expanding into the Middle East, I think we are really relevant for that. We've entered the Middle East market 6 months ago with our own local platform. We're now in 6 of the GCC countries, headquartered in Riyadh and Dubai, respectively. We are Turkey's largest e-commerce company. We have 30 million consumers in Turkey, active shoppers, and more than 300,000 sellers on our platform. We are the largest marketplace. We are also active in Europe and the Turkish Republic countries in Central Asia. But our newest region is effectively the Middle East and the GCC. And this is going to be our highest growth market and our biggest focus for the next 5 years. As some of you know, we have a very large strategic global partner, Alibaba. We have also various regional investors in our cap table, mainly from the UAE as well. Both the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund, ADQ, and IHC are our respective shareholders, and QIA from Qatar. What we are here really to establish is to create our marketplace technology that we have really succeeded with in Turkey for the region. Having what we have created in Turkey, where we've seen how we've helped develop the online and digital marketplace, we believe there's still room in this region to grow the e-commerce sector, especially in partnership with local retailers, as we have done in Turkey. You have here today actually some of our partners from Turkey with us, like Cem Boyner from Boyner Holding, who's the largest offline retailer, but together with us helped grow the online retail market in Turkey as well. And given the importance of the retail sector in the region, we believe a full-fledged marketplace technology like ours is very well positioned to here help grow the overall retail market, both in offline and online. We have a lot more to say later. Yeah. I'll save for that later, but maybe my colleagues can introduce themselves too.
Sure. Hi, I'm founder and managing director of Stater. We are real estate data solution providers. We have met a number of retailers who are entering Middle East as a growth market. They are still, with the impact of e-commerce, or despite the impact of e-commerce, they are still mauling at an incredible pace in Saudi Arabia. So we still see a lot of interest in, let's say, brick and mortar space, the retail stores, so to say. And we realize that when you are selecting a new location, you go through a process of trying to identify your catchment, your footfall, your sales per square foot per day, those metrics that are important for you to identify a right location, right rentals that you will pay. We realize that right now this is all being done through the experienced people, and we respect that. But we realize that they are expensive, they're not scalable. Therefore, we realize that we need to build something which is technology-driven solution, where you can create the what-if scenarios. Let's say a million scenario, for you to say, okay, this is my catchment population, that's the purchasing capacity here, this is the capture rate that I can attain. What if, more competitors enter the market in next 5 years? How will it change? And stuff like that. So it helps you make the decision, informed decision, with all sorts of scenarios building before you choose a location. So that's why we are here for. Excited to see you all. Thank you.
Right. Happy afternoon, everyone. I'm FAHED GHANIM from Majid Futtaim Lifestyle. We represent more than 100 channels, around 22 digital websites across the GCC. So we're a lifestyle operator. You would know us more if you've bought some Lego bricks and played with them, if you sweat in our Lululemon T-shirts or shorts. Possibly you had your morning routine with Shiseido, or went to our concept store and was styled in any of our stores. And if you're lucky enough, you would have experienced the Oswald Botank Poltrona Frau collaboration sofa, which is quite expensive, but truly a great combination between fashion and craftsmanship. And of course, through our rest of the portfolio of brands, whether it's Crate and Barrel, Abercrombie & Fitch, All Saints, and what have you.
Excellent. Thank you. So here we are. As John Haddon put it this morning, you're very lucky to be here. We're the best part of the world for retail.
Absolutely.
And coming from the UK, I can definitely concur. It's a lot better than being over there at this moment in time. Fahd, in terms of, we talk about the consumer, and they talk about the Middle East as a region. Yes. But to what extent is it really legitimate to talk about this as a region? Because there is, the level of diversity here is quite extensive. Your MAF lifestyle, so presumably at the heart of the brand is the kind of lifestyle of the consumer. So correct. How do you sort of change that throughout the region?
No, so that's a very fair comment. I mean, we travel the world, and when people talk about the Middle East, the naive approach is to have one brush, stroke across all markets, so they talk about it as if it's a single market. The retailers, my colleagues in this room, very much know that Riyadh is different than Kuwait, different than Doha, different than Dubai, different than Abu Dhabi. And it is our role to educate the new partners to be able to bring relevance into those markets. It is, very naive to assume that if you just launch in the market, yes, we are extremely lucky to be in this region, but don't make the mistake of thinking that the customer is not demanding. We have a very sophisticated customers in all markets, and they're quite demanding. They've traveled the world. They're extremely well traveled. They've been exposed to the latest technologies. They're extremely savvy, high digital penetration, and that puts a pressure on us because our competition, and I say that to my team all the time, is not regional. So whether you've just launched from Turkey into the region, but you've already been competing way before coming into the regions. And that understanding of how sophisticated and how competitive the landscape has become has really put a pressure on the retail operators to really make a difference and to continue financial viability. So a few years ago, in the same conference, people used to say bricks and mortar is dead. I say bad retail is dead. So we pivoted to becoming an omni-channel player and really focusing, putting the customer at the heart of what we do, bringing the relevant technology, because there's a lot of gimmicks and a lot of excitement about launching anything to the consumer to prove that you're active. That's not what the customer is looking for. The customer is looking for how can we make that journey seamless, both online and offline, and giving them the choice where to transact, where to learn about the product, where to return the product, and become what you matter, basically. Yeah. We talk a lot about building communities. We have a Lego community. We have a Lululemon community. We have a Crate and Barrel community.
Right, yeah, because it's a brand community.
And in each of those communities, we go beyond the store. Our relationship is way beyond transactional. So we really understand the nuances of this customer in every market. And in each market, also you have different archetypes. So the more you understand and the more you are genuinely listening to the customer, you're really able to react and bring that relevance. And they will reward you with their voting with their money and with their return. So you work on their future transaction rather than the momentary transaction.
Because presumably in UAE, there's a stronger mix of expat community, whereas in Saudi, that community is probably all local.
Well, there's a mix of nationalities, there's a mix of age groups, there's a mix of shopping behavior. So we've seen the shift of consumer behavior change drastically in different markets. So you're not able only to group them on income brackets or on age groups anymore.
And Sanjay, I guess that's why, there's always a question around how do you identify the consumer cohorts in any particular mall. I guess that's the major reason why people will come to speak to you guys.
Yes, sure. And see, I'll take a step further on what you asked Fahad here, that it's not just cities that are different, but within cities also locations are different as well. And Fahad, I'm sure, will agree with me. You have the budget locations, you have mid-market, you have luxury locations, and your merchandise must change according to locations. And this is what we've always realized, that unless you can pin it down to a local level mapping of socioeconomic, age group, nationality, ethnicities, all that stuff, you cannot really identify what works, what will work best here. Yeah. So it needs to really go down to that level where you can create homogeneous groups of people, shoppers, that this is the homogeneous group here, this is what I can capture from that, that's the market share, that's my sales potential here. Okay, you can only see sales potential. Finally, somebody, when he walks in, he or she, when he walks in the store, you need to sell. That's your job. Okay, but we can provide the information, data, solutions, the analytics till the point somebody walks in the store.
Because in this region, you see a lot more malls which are particular to a certain customer, right?
Yeah.
Which is
also increasingly the complexion, the profile of the malls are changing. They were 40% fashion at one point of time, just 2-3 years ago. And they are not, it's going down to, let's say, 25% and very soon to 20%. And malls are becoming destination. People don't go there to shop fashion. People go there for experience now. So it's completely changing, and therefore, the property owners are having a very hard time to keep up with changing, preferences of consumers. So this is what you showed on our interactive platform, that what's changing here.
Okay. ÇAÐLAYAN, Trendyol is relatively new to the region. You've gone into 6 markets all at once. I've been working in this region for best part of 25 years, and it was always the perceived wisdom that online wasn't a thing here. People like to shop, people didn't like to spend. And then, before the pandemic, people were starting to talk about whether the shop was dead, but in reality, a lot of the retailers, a lot of the franchise operators weren't working on marketplaces for their brands. You've obviously come in with a big launch. What are you seeing in the differences in the shopping habits and behaviors that you're seeing in the Middle East compared to what you would have seen in Turkey?
Well, first and foremost, the obviously purchasing power of the Middle East consumer is very high. Compared with our home market in Turkey, it's almost 10 times as high that we see. But equally, what we're also seeing is the frequency of shopping of the online shopper is quite high. So once they are in your app and they like the service of your app, they keep coming back to the app, and actually the order sizes are much larger as well. And for us, for online retailer, which is also very good, is the return rates are much lower here compared with, for example, with our European business. Other than that, obviously, the general global trend, how digital and online marketplaces are growing. Of course, the pandemic was a big boost for all the online players like us. And we see the penetration here in this market and in Europe and Turkey is still going, but still a long way away from the 2 most mature online markets, US and China, which are almost close to 40% plus, both of them, as you know. So that's why we believe the growth in online retail is still extremely high here. However, what attracted us extremely to this region was not that we still believed the overall retail market on online retail will grow, but until now, the offline retailers obviously have done an excellent job attracting all global brands to the region, establishing the region with distributorships. But there's still a long way to go because we feel there's a lot of still European brands, Turkish brands. We alone have brought in 150 Turkish brands that hadn't been selling here.
150?
150 just in the last 6 months, that number. These are A brands. If you look at B brands from Turkey, it's actually in the thousands already. And now we have, because also of our, obviously, relationship with Alibaba, which is basically the largest marketplace globally, where you have every brand from the US to Europe on it, we have reverse inquiries now from global brands who are not in the region already, who are saying, look, we'd like to be in the region, we'd like to start digitally, online, coming there, because everyone sees the growth potential of the region. And I think it's a good thing for the region, right? Because you have now selection for the customer in the region comes from everywhere. And for us, the biggest competition was obviously, especially the pure cross-border players from China. And we believe as Trendyol, we bring a fantastic alternative because we bring very high quality, sophisticated fashion products and other general merchandise from Turkey to the region. But the way our system is and the way our technology is set up here, the marketplace technology, we're looking for a full-fledged localization plan, which means every retailer in the region, every brand in the region is our natural partner. And we are talking to groups like Futtaim and others already onboarding their digital brands, or all their brands on our platform, because we see ourselves as a new virtual shopping mall for the region. That's what we are, right? A new channel, but a very sophisticated channel with very high technology, which we constantly invest in. We'll talk a little bit about that later, from AI or the other technologies that we invest into our platform here to enhance the shopping experience and the online retail experience. So we are the new virtual shopping mall that gets a lot of also new marketing strategies and other strategies from us into the platform to allow brands and retailers also from the region to take advantage of the technology and traffic that we're creating in this online virtual shopping mall.
Sure. And in terms of how you are talking to the consumer here, are you seeing the influencer community being vital to how you sell it? Because obviously in a lot of markets, influencers are everything. Is it the same here?
I mean, influencer marketing is actually one of our strongest points in Trendyol. If you look at, we actually, even in Germany, a European market, we are the e-commerce platform that uses the influencer marketing channel, the largest, the biggest. In the region already, we have 6,000 influencers now working for us, about 3,500 in KSA and 2,500 here. And we know, we were also lucky, obviously, that a lot of our influencers from our home market are very liked and known here, like the movie stars, sports stars, etc., because of the cultural affinity between Turkey and the Middle East. So it was very easy and convenient for us to switch on these influencers that we already had for the market here. And to give one example, we have in KSA, in the largest shopping mall, we've just did a pop-up store where for the opening, we brought 2 of our movie stars, influencer movie stars, into the opening of the pop-up store, and the whole mall basically got flooded by our consumers. Because of the popularity, I was getting phone calls from ministers saying whether they could meet these influencers separately.
Flooded might not be the right word.
It's very flattering, but it's obviously, again, a very big marketing tool for us as well, and to create the awareness and traffic into our platform. Because we use, and we have these wide nets of collaboration with all these influencers who are also very popular here. I mean, most of you know 8 of the top 10 TV shows in the region are Turkish TV shows. And if all these stars and influencers that are in these shows are already our existing influencers from our home market. We have been having long-standing, basically, business partnerships with all of them that we're now translating over to this region. So it's working very well for us here, and which we expect to continue.
And in terms of influencers in physical space, presumably you're seeing that impact in your brands in the mall?
It works both physical and online. So to Trendyol's point, we got into trouble with the mall when we got few gamers into the right type of influencers where you really cause a traffic problem and you need the security to control the crowds. But we heard also earlier today on TikTok. That's, again, very much influencer-driven. So the choice of channel in each market is very important to find the right channel that talks to the consumer base. In Saudi, it's a very young consumer base, and TikTok is a dominant channel. And that's how you're able to talk to the different markets differently. But there's no escaping the influencers.
Yeah, that's true. Let's talk a bit about how brands can operate in the region. As I said, over the years, the traditional model was franchise. Brand came, franchise operators took the brand and kind of went, thanks very much, keep delivering the stock, we'll send you the franchise fee. Those worlds are thankfully, has changed. You work with some of the most prominent brands in the world, and I imagine they're very clear about the ways that they want to work. And to some extent, Majid Al Futtaim have been the kind of pioneers of some of that relationship. over the years with some of the big brands that came in and kind of wanted to work on their own. But with 100% ownership now available in the market for brands, can you outline how your partnerships are working in terms of how much you get involved and how much the brand influences what happens?
Absolutely. So we, like you said, the model of traditional wholesale has fizzled out. We definitely exited a lot of relationship where it was purely on selling to the markets and working on a strict business plan with no understanding and development of the brand. And we evolved into a true sense of partnership, whether under a franchise or a JV model. The partnership was built more on building the right capabilities on both ends. So when we talk to our brands, we talk as peers. And what regional operators bring to the table is a deep understanding of the social fabric. Something that you cannot really communicate over a PowerPoint or a Zoom call. And that talks to how we communicate through marketing, how we merchandise, having the right tone of voice, and being available to those markets and those communities at the right moment of time. So that understanding meant we're able to really drive the full potential of the brands in the markets. I'll give you the example of Lululemon. When we initially launched, it was purely on the bricks and mortar stores. But when we really brought the two powerhouses, Majid and Futtaim power of capabilities, technology, you have to have definitely a strong sound technology to enable that. The analytics and the data, but also making sure you protected the brand DNA. We're able to grow the brand 10x in the region by really getting into the community building and having the right ambassadors. We had one of the run clubs we launched in Riyadh was on the staircase of Al Faisaliyah, and the runner there said it was her dream to access. So we're able to unlock this opportunity, bring relevance, and very quickly establish an ongoing routine run club in Riyadh, in Jeddah, and across the regions. So that type of moments are created. We had a similar example with Hollister and Abercrombie & Fitch, where we just launched the Ramadan capsule. And that was a long discussion, because if you're really touching the brand, we're the first in the world to personalize the actual brand logo into an Arabic logo, which is, it's a holy grail. You don't touch this. You can touch anything, but you don't touch the brand logo. But we were able to convince them, create an Arabic iteration that was launched in Ramadan with a huge success. And this is something that your customers appreciate. They know that the brands do care about the market. They're not here just to push products. And you're able to feed back to the brand and guide them through those type of processes. So the more the relationship involves to building trust, where there is true challenging moments. So we have tough discussions, but they're convinced because you're able to match it with strong capabilities in choosing the right marketing channel, in partnering with the right platform, in finding the right launch moment, in selecting the real estate, collaborating. And all of that experience brings relevance and builds a sustainable growing model in the region.
Sure. And Charlie, you're entering through a partnership?
Yes, I mean, as I've mentioned earlier, we have already a big retailer/shopping mall operator from KSA, the Sonomi Group, who's coming on with us in the investment in the Gulf. But equally, we are, as I mentioned earlier, we're talking to all the big retail groups, including, again, Al Futtaim and Al Shaya and Landmark and Apparel, all the groups of coming and becoming part of our platform. And actually, the way the journey is, and I think a lot of credit, again, to the offline retailers. Everyone talks about, the Middle East is different than the rest of the world. It has its wholesale distributors. Well, there's also a reason for that, because the wholesale distributors did an excellent job executing for the brands. I think no one talks about that. If you look at the last 30 years, there's a reason all these big retail groups in the Middle East have been so successful with these brands, because they've delivered for the brands. And we can see this mutual respect between the brands and the Middle Eastern retailing groups, because most of them are our existing brands, obviously also in Turkey or in China with Alibaba. But when we talk to Middle East, there's such a huge respect of what they have achieved here in the offline with their partners here. But for us, the good thing is they're encouraging us to work with their offline retail partners here because they've seen also the experience of if you build a good marketplace and online and how the two can grow together, how we can create a great offline marketplace. So going forward, I think the success of Trendyol for sure will come how strong our partnerships are with the local retailers, with local brands, will define the success of how Trendyol will become in the region. And that's our strategy. In Turkey, more than 95% of our business is marketplace. In China, Alibaba's business is 100% marketplace. Yeah. So this basically, our growth will come from if we can help grow Futtaim and Futtaim's brands on Trendyol, online, if we can create a new effective channel, good consumer experience for their consumers, for their brands, our success will come from there. So we're very much aware of that, and hence, we're looking at this as a pure partnership play for this region, for Middle East. I have my whole, both fashion and non-fashion brand teams are here, and we're talking to every brand in the region, every retailer in the region. We have this open door policy to everyone that we would love to see on our platform, because we also believe in the strength of our technology. To give you one example, in Turkey, we have 300 million SKUs on our platform, 300 million. Already in 6 months in the Middle East, we have 12 million, and this is with very little local selection. But this already makes us almost twice the size of one of our largest local marketplace competitors already. And the reason we can do this is because the strength of our marketplace, of our seller center, and of our algorithm technology is so high that we can manage these so many categories and so many products on the platform without diluting the effectiveness of the customer journey on Trendyol. So please, and I always say this to all of our partners here, view us as the partnership channel for the Middle East, and we will deliver on that, I have no doubt.
Okay. Let's touch a bit about stores. The perceived wisdom is you go with a franchise partner here because they have the best access to real estate. And clearly, if you want to get into Dubai Mall or Mall of Emirates, you have to wait your turn or you have to know the right people. But I suppose one of the major reasons that people would come to see you, Sanjay, is you can peel back those layers in terms of if you can't get that real estate or if you want to go into a different region.
True.
So what are the kind of, can you outline the sort of information people are looking for when they come to see you and how they would use your platform?
See, for retailers, I think the most important question is that, how much sales I can generate from a given location. Now, we see that exercise as a problem-solving thing. So you have to, let's say, start with a catchment first. So we thought of, let's say, some simple solutions, but big-scale solutions. So we drew every single-family home, multi-family home properties. You can draw anything on our platform, and it'll give you the population living within that. Then from the government, we got hold of the transaction data of properties. We used machine learning to multiply that to value every property in the region. So therefore, we now have the socioeconomic profile of the population living here. Once you add these two things up and you draw the catchment, you put the competing properties nearby each other, you can, with a fair degree of accuracy, reach the capture rate, the footfall, the conversion ratios. And then the retailers know their business best in terms of average size of transactions, what's my conversion ratio once, let's say, 100 people walk in a day, and all those things. So we just see this as a way to put multi-layer data with a lot of machine learning and AI applications to solve these problems.
Well, I mean, the first questions you always want to ask are, where should I go and how much money am I going to take?
Absolutely.
And the fact that you can use the AI to drive that.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's been the holy grail of answers for many times.
Yes,
so it'll be interesting to see how that develops. Conscious of time, in terms of store setup here, is there a kind of, in the home markets, brands are heavily investing in brand experience in stores. So here the sort of frequency of visits to the center is much greater. Does that mean that the factors such as service levels and in-store experiences are far more important here?
Yes, I mean, there is a scarcity of good retail space.
Space,
So it's very hard for newcomers to find new retail space. That's why we're not really obsessed by the number of stores, but we focused more on an asset-light strategy, an omni-channel strategy where we can complement our offering in each market. And then in those physical stores, we optimize the experience and sales productivity. So in the year one, when we started our transformation journey, we closed more than 100 stores, but we doubled in revenue. And that talks to the quality of what you do and moving the compass from obsession on pure growth for the sake of growth to true productivity, true relevance, and making sure you get the maximum out of each location and each brand. And I've been challenged by my fellow colleagues in the shopping malls where they say, you have enough retail space. And when I reflected on it, I said, yes, well, am I optimizing my current retail space? Am I getting the maximum sales? Am I giving the best experience? And quickly the answer is no. So when we went back, we were able to double the revenue or triple the revenue in exactly the same retail space by introducing better services, by curating better products, by doubling down on people and culture and empowering the teams in the store. So, listening to the customer conversation is quite important, and that goes back to the selection of a partner.
Yep.
You can always hire a big consultancy that will tell you what is the customer sentiment, what are the trends today. But the trends shift very quickly. I was having coffee with my wife this morning, and she spaced out for a moment, and I said, what's on your mind? I hope the answer would be me. And she said, I was very surprised by the answer. She said sustainability. She goes, I'm thinking of the impact we're leaving on the planet. Not our usual conversation in the morning, right? So her shift, she's becoming very conscious of our impact on the planet. We already try to have more single-use plastic, but those conversations, you need to listen to them and collect them on an ongoing basis to drive that.
And Charlie, for you, in terms
the
of brands,
right.
in terms of you're advising brands, I mean, as you say, you brought in how many? It was 150 brands.
This is the new brands just coming.
But you've got to advise all of them on their market positioning, presumably. What kind of relationship do you have with the brand?
I think, again, this is, again, how I think it shows how online and offline are actually very complementary of each other, right? For example, these 150 brands, there was a reason they're not in the region until now. It's not that they didn't know how great the potential is here, but they didn't have a sales channel. They didn't have they didn't have a store. We created an online store for them to list and show their products. And now that some of them also see, oh, actually, we have good sales from this region. Actually, they're now coming and asking us, oh, can you, by the way, introduce us to Futtaim or the other big retailers? It sounds like we actually can be, encouraged by being in that market and try to actually go and open a store, a physical store as well. So I think that this shows that how, complementary really online and offline is here. And this is not just from Turkey. Again, as I said, now that we're investing into the region, all of our global brands, partnerships, they see this. And we have, we're actually quite public with it as well. I mean, for the next 2 years, we're going to invest about $1.5 billion to $2 billion just in the region and marketing. And we're doing that to create really the traffic and awareness for all the brands on our app. Most of them want to be here, and they want to see whether they can access this market and they can create brand awareness for themselves in this market. And I have no doubt that we will see a lot of conversion then from these brands into offline here, and that they will be the new brands in the region. Because we've seen that, again, in our home markets, we have some brands that created literally only virtually online, just by being able to create a store there. And eventually, over time, they went into offline stores as well. So I think we will see the same development in here, because our dream is really for the region to really create this cross-selling as well. What I mean by that is we want to make sure that even a small brand or small retailer from Mecca can sell to Bahrain, someone from Bahrain can sell to Dubai, and that you can really do if you create this full marketplace environment.
Okay. Well, it looks like we've run out of time. It is, as I said at the start, the most exciting place to do business, but it's also, I think as we've demonstrated, still a complicated times, so that even though brands can now come in on their own, I think what's demonstrated here is, the level of partnership is massively important, and the level of deep understanding of each region of it is really important as well. But there are, thankfully, people like yourselves there that can help brands do that job. Nice. It just leaves me to say thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And enjoy the rest of the conference.